Damone Carter, David Ma, and Nate LeBlanc.
Three underground rap nerds walked into a bar. An argument ensued about who the GOATs are. The seed was a thought that would turn into a pod. Now fans worldwide say, not a bad job, the ad hoc gab squad who chronicles the vanguard of hip-hop at large. Rap taste slacked off, don't need to be mad, dog. Look no further, it's the Dad Bod Rap Pod.
Podcasting live from San Jose, California. It's the Dad Bod Rap Pod. I am one-third of your hostesses, Damone Carter, a.k.a. Dim One, joined today by my mans,
the hostess Cupcake.
the ding-dong of the show. I'm sorry. Nate LeBlanc.
What's up?
Oh, man.
Here we are. We're tired.
Yes. Definitely tired. Just getting back from a quick jaunt down to LA for the Freestyle Fellowship, To Whom It May Concern remaster listening
Apparently
party.
The police are closing in on you.
As usual, my life is 100 miles of running video, basically. I run from spot to spot. Good old downtown living. But just getting back from LA. I don't know about you, Nate, but I am of the age where I'm gonna have to start reevaluating my durability during long car rides. Like my back is still fucked up, and like it's a day or so removed. I feel like I think we both did the same thing. We came out on Saturday morning and went back to San Jose on Sunday, which means you basically spend about 11 hours in the car in a 24 or 30 hour stretch. And my lumbar.
That is true. I like the driving. Like I like long car trips. I like the driving, and I drove down by myself, so I got to like really hit it hard with podcasts and records I've been wanting to listen to and stuff. And I drove back with Dave, which was awesome because we don't see each other that much outside of the podcast, and I had him locked in a vehicle.
Yeah.
So he just had to answer all my questions. I'm like, what's going on with this? Okay, we haven't really talked about that. Okay, let me get your take on this. I was playing him music and stuff. It was actually really nice. That's probably the longest stretch of time we spent together in quite a long time. So it was actually kind of awesome, and it was an easy drive.
Yeah, pretty breezy. Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this when I was driving down, the most satisfying thing happened, where someone was driving like a complete idiot on 5, and then like half an hour later, I saw them pulled over on the side of the road.
Where?
Like it's ACAB, but in this case, it was so satisfying to see these like idiots who were going to cause an accident, and who at one point, I believe, near me threw a liquor bottle out the window.
Oh my God.
I was like, there's nowhere to go. I just have to slow down and get in the right lane and get behind a truck or something so they can get away from me. And then they were just pulled over on the side of the road, and I was just like, ha 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 ha.
Getting pulled over in a Button Willow. About to get your license suspended. That's one of my fears, is that getting a ticket in some like far off county and then having to go through the that should happen to me before in San Diego. It's a fucking nightmare.
Don't you just have is there not online options for that?
It depends.
Fly to San Diego and stand before Judge Wapner, or what?
It depends on what your offense is. So
you were highly offensive, so I'm sure it was a big process
and offensively high. So but yeah, this trip was pretty breezy. Got down to LA, warm weekend, great weather, not excessively smoky, just kind of good vibes overall. I think that the party itself, the listening party, was, I explained
set the scene. I'm assuming not everyone knows.
Yeah, so there was a recent reissue of Freestyle Fellowship's To Whom It May Concern, their epic, mythical first album, which is a creative masterpiece, but the recording at the time was not the best. And so Cut Chemist was given permission to go in and basically like remix a little bit the album. And
Cut Chemist remixed it, Daddy Kev remastered.
Daddy Kev remastered it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and sounds
that's awesome.
impeccable. It's
That-
such an improvement over whatever copy you had before. It's on 2 LPs. It sounds like a completely different record. And
It is a
Dave and I
completely
wrote the
different
liner
record.
notes for the
Yes.
reissue.
Yes.
Big shout to Johnny Skloot, former Bod Rap Pod guest, whose Key System Recordings put out the album and who couldn't make the event because he unfortunately, what did he say? He had to enter health and safety protocols.
Safety protocols. Oh, yeah. like a couple days out too, right before
which really sucks. But he was, good sport about it, and I sent him a bunch of pictures and videos, and it's actually funny. We were supposed to be documenting this pretty hard, and then we got home, and I'm like, everybody send in your pictures, and it's like 3 here, 2 there.
We got
1
8
video.
pics.
I'm like, we're so bad at this.
Absolutely, it's like I got an awkward pic of me and Kenny Siegel like 20 yards away from each other. It was at this place called Common Wave Hi-Fi, which is literally a hi-fi speaker audio shop
with some records.
With some records in there, some really good records in there, and it's a high-end basically speaker shop with these amazing turntables and speakers and gadgetry that, what it reminded me of was like those infomercials from the 50s about like better living through technology type shit. So
my frame of reference was like, none of these turntables are recognizable to me as turntables except for the ones we DJ'd on in the corner. All the ones that were for sale, it's more of like a showroom kind of place. Looked like, I would say, more like time machines.
Oh, totally.
Like turntables. Totally. There was gyroscopes and shit that was not recognizable as a platter, and somehow the record was just there and the sound was amazing. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And the funniest thing about it was, I asked several people, except for the people who would know, because that's not funny to actually learn something. It's just funny to go around and get doofus about this and ask people, like, they said they had a machine next to the turntable that was actually playing the record that like took away the static.
The static, yes.
And I was like, how do they do that? What is that? Does it catch the dust, or does it just catch the sounds? They know what sounds static makes, and it
is it
clears
magnetic
them before it heads to the amp.
Yeah, is it a magnetic thing that does it drown it out? I'm with you, Nate.
Non-pedantic hi-fi dudes, DM us.
Yeah,
do not be a dick about it.
Please put it in layman terms. The proprietor of the place was kind of trying to explain some of how it worked, and I was completely lost. But it did sound amazing. And so basically, the record was broken out.
Well, before that, Cut Chemist, who hosted the evening, played some records. He did this amazing thing that I've never seen anyone do before. He had a promo photo with every single one of his records. And he was like, if he was playing like Miles Davis, it was like the Miles Davis record, and then he had a promo photo from the appropriate era in the plastic sleeve. And you know how they had that little plate thing?
Yeah, that's what the placard was for. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So he's like showing off the photo collection and the record collection in a very cool way. I was like, I got to start collecting some of these promo photos. This looks sick.
Ultra flex.
While I was back there, kind of putting my records down and stuff, he was chatting up some people, and he was like, he was playing Reverend Eugene McDaniels, Jagger the Dagger, from Headless Heroes, and he's like, I might be able to find a Gene McDaniels like 1,000 Feet of Clay, but there wouldn't be a Reverend Eugene McDaniels because the record company was trying to blackball him and didn't believe in the project. And I was like, I'm in like record nerd heaven right now.
Totally.
I'm like so about this right now. It was so tight. And then they played the record, and people like sat and watched it like a movie. I've never had an experience like that before.
I was conflicted about how to take it in, because I was listening to it, and To Whom It May Concern is such a foundational record for me. I found myself just starting to like try to rap along as best as I could to the verses. And
Damone jumps up in front of everybody. Happy birthday to me.
I was this close. If I felt like my girl wasn't going to get embarrassed by me, I might have
Me
done
and Dave, we were a little giggly. Like, we were like, the situation was so weird, and it was such a reverent environment. We had to go outside a few times because we had the giggles. We were like, I don't know where to be right now. I have a little too much energy to stand and watch this record, but fucking amazing. Like, sounded so great. so much more bassy than you would think.
Yes. And so the Daddy Kev mastering makes sense to me when I think about some of the low ends that you haven't heard on this project.
Like he has theories about them.
Exactly. Exactly. Theories put into practice on this record. And so it just basically ran the record from top to bottom. A lot of cool folks were in the house. I explained to my dear girlfriend Steph, who's not aware of any of this type of stuff. I'm like, you're hanging out with rap nerds tonight, but like the upper echelon. This is
We're down here. They're way up here.
It was a hell of a night. A lot of cool cats.
If when we went to Boise, it was indie rap soul playing, this was like indie rap nerd convention.
Oh, totally.
Rap Ferreira came through, which was amazing. Kenny Siegel, Gel Rock from the Cloaks. Did you interact with him at all?
I did. So when the record was playing,
cool guy.
Me and Gel Rock, who I wasn't introduced to yet, we were kind of like, we want to rap this whole thing. And we're kind of like looking at each other like, running butt naked hysterical through the flames. Like we were kind of
start lifting up your shirt, kind of see if he joins you.
Totally. So
DJ Jedi was in the house. Sean Cantrits from The Questions.
Great to meet Cantrits.
A young up and coming rapper named Open Mike Eagle.
A real Doom fan.
Oh my god,
a real Doom fan. Mike had done that thing where you say bye to everybody and then appear to leave, and then what Doom track did you play? And he like ran back in.
Dave played That's That, which I have a long running, like probably 15-year running joke about when you see Dave DJ. He plays the Ramones and the Gaylettes, and you have to add this track in there. It's like one of Dave's go-tos, and he pulls out the Doom record, and I'm like, "Are you doing it?" And he's like, "Of course,
I'm doing it."
So he played That's That from Born awesome. Like This, which is that's Dave's cut. That's our cut, but he's very much known for playing that song. Mike ran in from the outside.
Yeah. So funny.
Yeah.
So good.
It was so funny. And then shortly thereafter, he had drifted away again. I played Fellowship. Can you find the difficulty in this? Which I found out my copy of that has like a huge gash in it. So we're like on the $100,000 stereo, like every turn of the record going hack. I'm like, I really need a new copy of this. I did not really. I probably had like dropped.
Can you find the level of difficulty in playing that record?
Yeah. Yes. So I need a new copy of that. But anyway, just rappers rapping along. Like Rory knew all the words to Rock Marciano Snow. He's standing in front of the turntables just rapping it back to us. I was like, this is so crazy, dude. Like, it was just such a cool night. Like just very unique, very out of the ordinary. Like I'm still kind of in the like I haven't really done shit since COVID thing, and I was trying to keep my mask on and it wasn't working, and I was just like, I took a test this morning, I'm fine, but I was like, numbers are surging in LA, what am I doing? But I was having fun. I haven't been drinking, and it was like, if I was going to drink, I would have drank there, and I didn't drink. So
you didn't? Okay.
That was an interesting personal, like Dave and I went down to my hotel's bar and had a drink before we went, and I like had the soda water, you know?
Is that right?
We told you this. Okay. There was a Bridgerton event at my hotel. So while we're sitting there having drinks and kind of catching up and talking and kind of speculating about what the evening was going to be like, there's like 400 girls in floor-length 1800s gowns. It was insane. There were two guys dressed like Daft Punk.
Okay.
Like down to the sneakers with the full working helmets and the breathing tubes. We're like, what the fuck is going on right now, dude? Like, where are we?
You're like, Bridgerton is wild this season.
I was like, I don't even know what the two were related to. My really good friend who sort of lives in LA, was in LA at the same time, came to visit me at my hotel before that, and he got pulled into a room because they thought he was a talent for one of the events, and he was like, dude, I have like 40 minutes to go see my friend upstairs, like, leave me alone.
Yes.
So it was just nutty. Like the whole thing was nutty. And then when we were downtown, we went to Guisado's, which was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Really like perfect after show food, even though it wasn't even that late. Really, like I was super pleased with that selection, and we'll definitely go there again. There were just like roving mobs of 20 somethings, like just mobbing in downtown LA. And to kind of, I think we talked about this outside of the restaurant when we were heading our separate ways, but No one was playing Kendrick anywhere, and I don't
No.
want to talk about Kendrick because I'm not ready to talk about Kendrick.
Nobody
But
was
I
playing
do want to
Kendrick.
say it's not one of those bumping out of every car kind of records at the moment.
Or any car, but I went to I ended up doing a little bit of a bar hopping later that evening. Heard Blow the Whistle 3 times.
That's
Hilarious, and, which I feel like happens when I go to LA. It's a very popular track to play. But yeah, it's always cool to kind of go people watch and kind of just soak up some of the vibes, if you will, and then come back to, I think San Jose is like, if you took the coolness of LA and broke it into eighths.
I was gonna say tenths, yeah.
Okay, maybe even 16.
It's like LA feels familiar to us because it's like San Jose times 10. It's like this. Exactly. It's like a similar mix of types of people with a different dominant industry that's slightly cooler, and just like we feel at home there, but we don't actually know where anything is. That was my vibe the whole weekend. I was like, I'm Google mapping my walks. I'm like, is the little blue dot heading towards where I would need to be right now? Because
that's the great look, right?
Yeah,
you're just walking around the city, getting ready to get robbed. It was a good times. Shout out to John Skloot for kind of putting that together, putting my guys on, and allowing me to not vicariously, to ride the coattails. Right in there. I'm like, I'm in here. It is so exciting. Appreciate y'all playing my record.
Oh yeah, for sure. Got to play the Lackadaisical in front of indie rap royalty. That was really awesome. And something that I wish I would have known weeks before, because I've made myself so nervous about like DJing in front of Cut Chemist, for instance, where I'm more of like a selector. I have good taste. I don't have any
selector.
This. They had a rotary mixer, so we couldn't have done any tricks if we tried.
Dude, that's what I was like. Are you landing Apollo 13? Or like, are you like, what the fuck's going on, yo?
Yeah. Turn this one down, turn this one up. It's like the perfect thing for us. We looked it up on the way home. I made Dave Google it and was like looking over his shoulder on a straight part of the 5 where I didn't have to drive that hard. $3,500 mixer.
Oh my!
And you can't get them. Like you have to get on a waiting list and know somebody, and they only something is expensive when the website lists the stockists for the brand.
Yes,
it's like they don't want to tell you how much it is. You have to add it to the cart and see how much it would cost to get shipped to your house. Like
it's one of those, like, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Like,
which has been a big theme lately, and I can't afford any of it, so it's pretty great for me.
To be able to kind of play with this stuff and just have that experience, which is very unique. I'm kind of a little bit bummed that none of the members of the fellowship can make it. Apparently, Mike and I got the date mixed up, which is just like, oh my goodness.
Thought we might see Jupe. Had a couple records I was going to play if Jupe showed up. But it was a cool night. It was not a perfect night in that regard, since some of the main people involved in the thing couldn't be there, but it was really fun, man. I kind of like needed to have some fun, and I certainly did. So it was great that you guys were down there, and just the people who came through were super cool. Met some new people. A couple people kind of found us online afterwards, and talked about the liner notes, and we were like, oh my god.
Cut Chemist, Nate went outside, and Cut Chemist picked up Nate's box of 45s and like snickered at us. Like, I wonder what he's got in here. I'm like, Nate is equally parts mortified and honored in the same moment. I was there for you, Nate.
Yes, thank you. You came and told me, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and then just made a beeline back to the table.
Give me my records.
No, we didn't talk about it, but him and I know each other a little bit because I wrote a long profile about him. You guys can find on Passion of the Weiss. If you're interested in reading it, please read it. And so, but we didn't, like, that was journalist interviewee. This was more like peers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I think I talked about this when we had him on, or when I was talking about the article. Like, I tried to write him a fan letter when I was like 16, when the Jurassic 5 EP came out, and I heard Less Than Six. My mind was completely blown. I was just like, this guy is it. Like, I'm into turntablism. I'm into hip hop, this cut and paste style, this scratching. Like, for me, I think he's a genius as a DJ. I love his music in that way. So it was funny when we got there. And me and Dave were gonna like really defer to him and be like, dude, you just take as long as you want, and we don't need to really play. We're on the flyer, but we don't care. We're not really DJs. We'd rather watch you DJ. And he's like, it's a rotary mixer. Do you like watching paint dry? Like, I can't do any of my stuff. I'm just playing records here, so you guys got to go on. And we're like, okay.
There it is. Level the playing field right there.
Yeah, it's really funny
with the overpriced mixer.
I don't think it's overpriced. It's just expensive. You know what I mean?
That's all relative. If Rock Raider couldn't use it, I don't know.
A high quality machine. It's not for that though. It's for this. That's how I use a regular mixer anyway. Fade down, fade up.
Yeah. No scratching in between. It was good times. There was another person in attendance who I didn't have a chance to check in with, but you and Dave interviewed not too long ago, and that is Real Bad Man.
Real Bad Man. Real Bad Man kind of showed up on our radar a couple of years ago because he did an album with Boldy James called Real Bad Boldy that we were fans of. And then he has these various compilations. He just put out another one. I think it was Real Bad Man Volume 4, where he works with kind of like elite street rappers, some heavy hitting lyricists. I like his production style a lot. And as you guys are about to hear, this is his first ever interview as a producer. He's done a bunch of other stuff. So Real Bad Man is like a streetwear brand and like a logo identity and like a company. And he was in a like a kind of rockish band for many years. So he has a big history in the LA music scene and in music in general. And this is this all came about through a publicist email. I think it was from Jordan Commander. We're on their list, and I was just like, oh, is Real Bad Man available for interviews? Like that's someone I am interested in. Like, and then it was just kind of snowballed from there. Sent us the new Boldy record, which I've been running a lot. It's coming out on Friday, so you guys, if you're listening on release day, you'll get to hear it tomorrow, and you'll hear some about it in the interview here. But yeah, super cool guy. He ended up coming out to the event, got to meet him in person. I ordered one of his shirts. Like I'm in. I like him. I like it. I think he's a really good producer, and so he's got an interesting story, and you guys will hear it.
All right, so here it is, our interview with Real Bad Man, Bod Rap Pod.
Bod Rap Pod. Every week we interview people who are moving and shaping hip-hop culture. This week is no different. We are here today with producer, designer, man of mystery in some ways, Real Bad Man. What's going on? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for having me. This is like my first interview as Real Bad Man.
Okay, that's awesome.
Like, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I've listened to a few. I was familiar with the podcast, but I hadn't listened to too many of them. So I went and I listened to a few in the past like week or so.
Right on. Appreciate that. Thanks for making the time. We are primarily here to talk to you about your music. We really enjoyed your Boldy James record from a couple of years ago. We'll certainly get into that. And you have a recently released producer album, Volume 4 of your ongoing series. So why don't we start there? It's On High Alert, Volume 4, and it's got a heavy hitting lineup. Why don't you just give us a little peek behind the curtain? How do you go about crafting these? I call them producer albums, not really compilations. Like, how do you choose who you want to work with for these?
Got it. So I'll go back a little further, probably give too much information, but Real Bad Man started as a brand, like a clothing brand. I'll even go before that. I had a band before. I've always made music. I don't know how much you guys know about me pre calling myself Real Bad Man or producing under that name. But there's a lot of stuff that you guys have discussed that I've been around or involved in.
Okay, cool.
But the most recent one was I had a group called Pollen, Pollyn, and I was like, I'm done with music. I don't want to make any more music. I'm just gonna be focus on like designer, agency, content, director, all that stuff. I'm not gonna do music, and I'm gonna start a brand with some friends, and we're gonna call it Real Bad Man. And I don't know, and we're gonna do like bootleg merch for bands that never really had merch. That was like the initial idea. And then the first season came, and I was like, I want to put out a record, but I don't want to produce it. So the sort of the theme was like krautrock. And so originally I had Moody Man doing a edit of Vitamin C by Can.
Okay, yeah.
And then I had these guys in Japan that do this like sort of futuristic dance hall. I gave them a sample of a Tangerine Dream song from the movie Sorcerer. And it was going to be, okay, it's very curated. The Moody Man thing didn't work out. And so I hit up Edon, and I was like, Edon could crush this. So I had him do Vitamin C and just chop it up and edit. I didn't produce anything. And then the second season came, and I wasn't as lucky with someone like Edon who can produce and rap. So the people I wanted didn't make beats. And the season was kind of about drugs. So the idea was like sample all these like sort of records that were known for sort of drug records, where like the artists were stoned or high making them, and using
a lot of
that
choices
as like,
there.
Yeah. And so the people that I had was like Mayhem, and then who else did we have? And Logi was the other one. But like no one to make the beats. So I was like, fuck it, I'll make the beats.
Okay.
And then it got me kind of back into it. And then we did that for a few seasons where the records were just giveaway. We sent them with the clothes. Stores that had them would give them away. And then I don't know, I was like, oh, this is fun. I get to work with rappers again. With when I had my band, we would always do kind of remixes or songs with rappers here and there, like not really like songs for the album. It was more like B-sides. There was a song with like Freddie Gibbs. There was a song with Rock Marciano. There's one that like never came out with Guilty Simpson. There's been a few, but it was definitely more on like the sort of Portishead, Massive Attack side of things.
Okay.
And so this was my opportunity to get back into like rap, like the rap that I grew up loving, working with the artists I really wanted to work with. So then I sort of just jumped in, and the only way I kind of knew how to do it was to just do one-off songs with all these different people. Mm-hmm. And I would sort of like curate them, like, oh, I like this person's stuff. Let me reach out and see if he's available, and kind of take it from there. I accumulated all these songs, and then kind of started curating like the volumes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a few songs, not a lot, but yeah, most of the songs from volume 4 were done when I was doing 1 and 2. The idea was to do 5 of them.
Gotcha.
There's no songs left for volume 5, but I think at some point we'll get to volume 5. There's some leftovers here and there. Like it's good and bad. I don't always release everything I do. So there's like definitely an archive with people that I've just never, it just didn't fit. So it just sits there on the hard drive.
True.
So
great. Thanks for explaining that, man. I mean, you certainly have your hands in all kinds of things. And you mentioned, how you're like, fuck it, I'll just produce it. And, just on that tip, can you give us a little bit about your production background, your influences, the equipment, and just overall approach,
How far back? I mean, so I started, I have a very crazy hip hop story.
All right.
So I went to, I started DJing when I was 6th, 7th grade. In high school, I ended up working for Ruthless Records and Eazy-E.
Okay. Wow.
That was around the time At Band Clan was on the label, which eventually turned into the Black Eyed Peas. When I worked there, I got enough money to buy an SB 1200. So I had my sort of partner who I worked with, Mike, had an SB 1200. So I learned how to make beats kind of using his. And when I had enough money, when I was probably like 16 or 17, I bought my own and I started making beats. I was also at the time, so that was like that's the first drum machine I used, besides like 4-track in one of those Gemini like mixers that had a sampler built in, and I would just loop stuff and like put them on a 4-track and then put a sample on top of it and just kind of pause and just make beats through that. Eventually I got an SB 1200. I started making beats. I had friends. So I went to high school with Alchemist. Also Jeff Weiss is younger than us, but I DJ'd Jeff Weiss's 6th grade birthday party.
I am definitely talking to him about that next time I see him.
That's hilarious.
And I did, so in high school, as I was making beats, I also did a public access rap show. Alchemist was the host when he was a kid.
What was that called?
We were both like 15. It's online somewhere. There's been a few little, like Jeff wrote about it because he was like, I remember this when I was a kid. That's sort of how we figured out we knew each other. And he was like, I think you DJ'd my 6th grade birthday party. And so all of this was happening at once. So my influences really came from like that golden era of rap. At the same time, I hooked up with, through online message boards, soul and live poets that eventually turned into Anticon. So like the very first live poets record, like I had beats on. So I would send stuff back and forth with Soul, and he was one of the main people I worked with kind of growing up making beats. He really liked my beats. I would, we probably just sent cassettes back and forth, and he would rhyme over the cassette. Probably most of the beats on that first CD that I just saw got reissued on vinyl are all cassette, like they're just like cassette beats. And so I started making music through that on the SP, and then eventually by the end of high school, Dr. Dre, The Chronic, and Puffy came after that. And then I was like, I don't know if I like rap anymore. I like Portishead and Massive Attack. I like sample-based music, but trip hop or whatever you want to call it, Mo-Wax type stuff really spoke to me. And I sort of like abandoned this like underground rap thing and went into that space of like, starting a band, working with singers. And then at the same time, at some point I went to film school, and I was designing and never sort of like picked one lane. I was always doing 18 different things. But I think SB 1200 and then Pro Tools really changed things for me, because I could see how songs were constructed visually. And I always liked making beats on the SB 1200, but currently, like, it's over there unplugged, and I don't touch a single machine. I do everything in Ableton, and I feel like my beats are like me editing more than like pounding on a drum machine.
Sure.
So it's a lot of like collaging, and it's all the stuff that I learned when I was working on Pro Tools with a band. The guitarist or the drummer or whoever would play a bunch of shit in the session, and then I would find the loop I liked and twisted it around so it would be in the tempo, or it had the swing that I had in my ears. So it was before there was time stretch. I never used a grid. I was always learned it by ear. And then Ableton kind of came along and I learned that, and it took a few years to really like get good at it. And now, you know, I can kind of make what's in my head and like alter stuff in the way, but a lot of it's editing. A lot of it's me, you know, I'm very rarely programming out a drum loop. I'm doing it all by ear and sight on a thing.
That's interesting. Thanks for giving us the background on that. So I'm curious, kind of first question, and then I want to go somewhere else with it. Like, so when did you decide to get back into kind of this very fertile time of street rap? Like, what was the transition? So you ended your band, and then you were like,
I ended my band,
rapping is good again. I'm going to get back involved, or how did that go?
It was probably like a 2-year gap. Like, you know, and like, I don't know, friends always joke, like, I can't just stop doing it. Like, I still made stuff, but I was like, I don't want to put out anything. You know, it's a lot of like, especially when you put a lot of work into something and you put it out and no one hears it. Is like, oh, like again, like forget it. Like I have more success doing this stuff. I'm gonna do that. And then eventually, I was able to kind of make my own, like, my way. This is how I can do it. Like, I have this brand. I can kind of self-fund what I want to do, and sort of take it step by step. You know, I have a bit of a strategy to it. You know, like, I've seen what works. So I'm like, oh, like the Boldy James record, Real Bad Boldy, did really well for us. It got a lot of attention, way more than these comps do, even though there's like different names. And so I was like, maybe I should stop doing the comps as much and put my focus into like individual projects with rappers that I want to work with. And so that's what I've been kind of concentrating on. So I don't know, my long-winded question was, I ended doing sort of music in around 2016.
Okay.
And then kind of started making rap songs. Definitely 2019. I want to say around like April, May was when I started really working on like On High Alert Volume 1.
Wow. That's like so recently. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And and it was like, I was in Tokyo at the time for like 6 weeks. And I remember like being on the train, making beats, sending it to like Ito when we got Wi-Fi. And like, you know, I remember doing a lot of those songs, like the initial ones, like in that time. So it's very easy to remember, like, oh, summer 2019 was.
That's so cool. I definitely caught wind of your production project, Real Bad Man, because of the first Boldy record. I don't know if it had the fortune or misfortune to come out during one of the most craziest album runs an artist has ever had, where he had 4 really good records that year, and yours was one of them. We all were paying attention to him.
So season 3 of the Real Bad Man brand, like the theme was like comedy. Okay. So I was at that point producing. So I did the A side there was no A side and B side, but one side was like Alchemist rapping and Boldy rapping on one song. I didn't know Boldy. Al went and was like, oh, can I put Boldy James on this? And I was like, sure. Like, I like him. And it was before I had heard Presti in China. I think they were just working on it. I think that's why he was with him. And then the B side, or the other side, was Blue, Exile, and Large Professor. And I think there was just 2 songs. And that was where I connected with Boldy. Once it came out, I DM'd him and I was like, thank you for doing it. If you want any of the records, let me know. And he was like, no, I'm good. Like, but I was like, can I send you beats? And he was like, yeah. And he really liked them. Like, he really responded well to them, more than a lot of other people that I've like sent stuff to. That was probably like, I don't even know, I don't even remember when that was, but we started working. I think it was summer of 2019, probably.
Okay. Before the world ended.
Yeah. Cause it wasn't COVID. I remember like we kind of messaged on like around my birthday. And so it was like end of August. And then we just started working on stuff, and kind of the same thing. I have a gazillion songs with Boldy because we started working. So like Real Bad Boldy came about because I was like, I have too many songs. like, I just need to put something out. I kind of like, they all have a similar vibe to them. You know, they're a little more boom bappy than like I wanted to be. But so I was like, I'm going to put those all together and that'll be an album. And so like the next record, which you guys heard, isn't as boom bappy in my head. I mean, maybe it is to other people, but in my head, I was like, I don't want it to be boom bappy or like throwback. I want it to be like a mix of now and like kind of what I do.
Oh, just to reiterate, I love that album, man. So great work. I want to circle back actually to Nate's initial question about the On High Alert series, the fourth in the series. You know, you have a bunch of heavy hitters on there. I mean, legends from Master Ace to cats like Rock Marcy, Rome Streets, and I just want to, you know, just give us a peek behind the curtain, like working with all those different characters. And were there any that just delivered in a way that just super impressed you, or any sort of standout moments?
I mean, I'm really happy with Volume 4. Like I like the mixing of, I love curating and I love putting people together that like might not belong, but like work. And I mean, Rock and Mayhem work really well together. So like, I remember like I recorded that, like Rock I had his verse on that track. And I had the hook, and I knew I wanted someone else, and I knew it had to be like someone that matched well with him, because I didn't want to put someone on and have him be like, oh, I'm bummed. But like Mayhem was the perfect one, and we recorded that together. Not everyone I record with, like in the room. Most people I don't. Most people, I send a bunch of beats. They like the ones that they record to. They send it back to me, and they're like, you know, do your thing.
Editing begins.
Yes. But Mayhem, like we went in the studio and did the song from Volume 3, Bad Manners, and then we did the verse from this one same night. And it was, you know, it was great. Like I like that the Rock Mayhem song. Like I love like this, the size of it. It sounds huge. And they both sound really good on it together. Then the like the one with like Evidence, Stove God, and Alchemist. Like I growing up with Alchemist, I remember the Hooligans, and like, and I have a special place in my heart for like hearing him rap. So any chance I get to be like, hey, can you do this for me? Like, he's been nice enough to do it multiple times now. So that was awesome. Something
a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the best producers around, you know. So
they know that part. They don't really know that he started out as a rapper. That he
started out as a rapper. Like I remember all of that. I remember like the demos and all that stuff. So getting him to rap is always like fun and nostalgic for me. But putting them all together, you know, Evidence was the first one on that record, and then I sent it to Al, and I wasn't sure if he was going to do it. And Boldy and I are always recording, so I sent it to Boldy, and I was like, "Hey, can you go on this?" And he did it, and then Alchemist sent his, and there's like I have a Stove God album that like never came out, and we were working on it at that point. And so I was like, can you get on this song? And so it all kind of came about in a sort of organic way. You know, Evidence knew Al was going to rap on it. And, you know, it kind of like went in order. So by the time Stove God got it, it had the 3 verses before it. And I rarely do a song that's just rapping. I do like a hook, and a chorus, but this one didn't need it. It was just like, everyone's going to rap one after another.
Nice.
And that's it.
I think that's something that stands out about your song is they have a lot of song structure, and so much of this stuff is just loop 1 or 2 verses and kind of whispers away. And it's nice to hear a little bit of structure every once in a while.
It comes from being in a band for so long that like, you know, every song needed it needs a change up. It can't just be the same thing. And I always fight myself adding too much. Like I'll add shit over and over. Like the second half of the verse always has something else, and I end up pulling it all back. Right. A lot of times I mute it when I send it like to be mixed. Right. So I'm like, no, just don't touch it.
You have one that didn't make sense to me until we started talking, but I'll just propose it anyway, and you can maybe tell us if there's a story or not.
Yeah,
it's the song Real Mean, and it's Blue, Logi, and Paz de Noose, and that's just drawing from so many different scenes, eras, styles. Like, do you have any stories about that one?
So that was one of the ones that I think I did. I did a song or two with Logi, and I really like him a lot.
I'm a fan as well.
And so I was like, hey, what do you think of Blue? And he was like, I love Blue. I grew up listening to Blue. And I was like, cool. I want to put you guys both on a song. And I was like, at some point, I'm going to ask Paz if he'll be on it. Because I knew him, but not really through music. I knew him through like design and the other stuff. But I knew him, and I was like, all right, I'm going to ask him to be on it. So it would be these three. And I do think that's not a weird one to me. Like, they all sort of fit, especially Blue and Paz. I feel like they go together, you know, and Logi, because his stuff kind of has this like lo-fi vibe to it. When you hear it, you know, like, but he can do other stuff. And that's what I like doing, kind of giving people the ability to do other stuff, you know, than what they're used to. But stuff that I do think they'll sound good. It's not like I'm giving him a techno beat. Like it's still like a strong beat. But yeah, like, I like putting those things together. You know, the last song on Volume 4 is with Master Ace, Maxo, and Satch from the Nonce. And early on, I started to do stuff with Satch, and then like, I guess COVID hit, and like, there's like we have a song that never got finished, and then I was figuring I needed a third verse on that song, and I'm a huge Nonce fan, like, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna send this to you. Can you do it in like, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Like, I really need it done. And he got it done, and I thought he killed it. It's really good to hear him with you know, like, over
people.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yes, I think a lot of, I think with the right production, anyone at any age can sound good over.
Yeah, we have a whole podcast about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Real Bad Man, as we can kind of conclude here, can you tell us a little bit, like, we've learned so much about you in this short time. You're in so many different scenes. Can you talk a little bit about how, like, you bring it all together? Like, is there a unifying thread to all the different things you do, your art, your music, your travel? Like, what is it about it that makes it Real Bad Man, you know?
It's a good question. I don't have like the answer, but I think I mean, I think there's like a style thread that runs through it, and it's usually like a little left of center. It's a little off, but not so off that like it's experimental. So I try to like do my own thing without copying, you know, or show like I have a very wide pool of influences that I pull from, you know, and they all get jumbled together in a blender and spit out, and it sounds like this. But I do think there's a little bit of like psychedelic element to it. I think there's a little bit of humor at times. Like the name and everything is sort of, you know, a little bit of a joke, you know, and there's humor to it.
Just talking about some of the album titles too, it's interesting the little slants that people take on it for their rhymes and for the titles and things like that. With just 3 words, it gives a lot of ins for punning. And kind of like references, right? When
I first started, I was like, hey, can you mention Real Bad or Man in your verse somewhere? Like, it doesn't even have to go together, just like throw it in. And a lot of people were able to rise to the occasion, and other people ignored it. But it was, you know, a lot of that was, it was supposed to be kind of playful. Like, I want to do records. I want to do clothing. I want to do everything that I would want to hear.
Right.
And that's sort of my through line is, do I like it? And if I don't like it, then I shouldn't do it.
Real Bad Man, thank you so much. On May 20th, you are going to release your follow-up full length with Boldy James called Killing Nothing. And I have to just, Dad Bod listeners, you're going to enjoy the song Ain't No Bon Jovi. That's my cut after the first listen today. So we just want to thank you for your time. Thanks for coming through and hanging out.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, that was our conversation with Real Bad Man.
This is
seems like a really good guy.
I want to say his name so bad. I know he doesn't want us to. He wants to like maintain an air of mystery about himself, but
Absolutely.
I have a huge problem calling people by their stage names, and this one is so long. I'm just like, but I won't.
RDM.
Super nice guy. This is another weird thing about the interview. At the end of the interview, when we were just chatting, and we kind of hung around and chatted for kind of a long time, and that happens from time to time. We've had some really amazing conversations with people after the official part of the interview ends, and that's usually the part where they get to tell us about upcoming music and stuff that they can't say to people yet. He like leaned in his chair he was in, and he had the Freestyle Fellowship, To Whom It May Concern record behind him, and I was like, is that Freestyle Fellowship record? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, it just, you were out that day, or you were on assignment, as they say, so it was just Dave and I was like, look inside. Like, Dave and I wrote the liner notes for that, and he was like, we were all kind of like, okay, this is a little weird, like, this is
so he had no clue. He had just kind of
no idea. He literally said, I don't think you would mind me saying, he was like, oh, I just, you guys are big hip hop heads. I just wanted to have a cool record behind me. And I was like, and you do. Yeah. So just something was in the air. It was like meant to be, kind of. I don't know how else to say it. But one last thing about the event on Saturday, and I probably screamed this in your ear while we were listening to records. We learned so much. Like, people told us so much.
Yes.
Like, just upcoming release stuff, and who they're working with, and what they're working on, and who knows if any of this stuff is going to come out. But we're probably in the event for a total of 4 hours. In 4 hours, I learned more about underground hip hop than I did in the previous 5 months. I think you remember my little rant about how I'm insidey and how going outside is not worth it from last week. Sometimes going outside really is worth it. Like,
if you pick your spots.
If you pick your spots, it's so interesting how much more people told us in person. Because you, generally speaking, I'm like, hello. It was actually pretty funny. A couple people recognized me for my voice. And I was like, okay, that's the thing I have to get used to in life. And then I'd be like, how you doing? What are you working on? And they would tell me. And it's like, these are some cats whose contributions to the art really matter. And so knowing what's coming, and then they get to hear all this unreleased music. And I don't think Mike would mind me saying this, but at the very end of the night, when they were about to leave and I was outside smoking, I was like, I don't get how you guys do it. You you have all this heat in the tuck.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how does that feel? And I'm not going to try to do Mike's voice, though I did it pretty good to Dave in the car. He was like, that's the whole game. You're walking around with a loaded gun.
Yep.
And I was like,
awesome.
You fucking genius. Like, that is such a cool thing to say. And then he disappeared into the night. You know what I mean? It was so rad.
That's awesome. Yeah. Definitely good times connecting with people in person. People don't recognize my voice. There is a conspiracy theory going around that me and Dave sound alike. And I
can't ever hear it, but I know you guys pretty well.
I don't hear it, but I think what it really says is that your sonorous tone is very distinctive. And also, I feel like, you show up as yourself, and it was great to kind of just, it was great to see you and Dave having a great time. It's like we don't get to have those type of interactions.
I know,
like,
and me and Dave used to all the time. Like we have DJ'd many an event together, and we used to have a DJ night together where we would have the most fun of anyone. Like we were hitting it pretty hard back then, and we like to go back and forth. He likes to go 2 for 2. I actually think it's more interesting if we go 1 for 1, but it's too hard to keep track. So.
Oh no, y'all was on some Globetrotter shit. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a little bit of practice with that, and we like exactly the same music, so we can feed off of each other in that way, and it's really fun. But the whole point I was trying to make is that was the funnest part of a really fun weekend was like once we got the table between us and everyone else, and we could just crack our jokes and tell our little musical jokes and like lean over and whisper about like things that were happening, and like that to me that was the most fun part. Like we were just like cracking up basically the whole time.
Once the peanut gallery was constructed and you had a role in the party. Oh, I know how that is.
It was super fun.
Yeah, super fun. Shout out to the whole Stony Island mob that came out ahead. I felt like we're having a good working meeting with Open Mike Eagle and Kantrowitz and kind of just doing all that. So once again, Los Angeles, if you're hiring. Just all of Los Angeles, if you're hiring, it would be amazing to be in that scene. If I could do that scene once a week, I think my life would be drastically different. I don't know.
I think so too.
That's just the dreaminess in me talking. But shout out to everybody that came out. And who knows? We may be coming to a town near you again. Real quick, Nate. Quelly Chris tour dates announced. No Bay Area.
I'm trying not to be upset about that. It says more dates to be announced.
Yeah.
So
hopefully,
let's hold on for a miracle.
Yeah, Bay Area promoters, please book Quelly Chris, just so I can go. Just selfishly. I have no idea what kind of draw that is in the Bay Area, but goddamn it, I want to see Quelly Chris.
Yeah.
So that's what you come to us for: conversations with interesting, engaging people. Anecdotes from middle-aged rap guys who are somehow living the dream somehow, and appreciate everybody's patronage thus far. You can connect with us on Twitter at Bod Rap Pod. We just crossed the 5,000 follower mark, so shout out to everybody, the 3,500 real people who actually followed. We appreciate
1,500 promote your music accounts we have on mute.
Exactly. We appreciate y'all too. On Instagram at Bod Rap Pod. You need to get involved with our Patreon. The community is growing. The discourse is fly. We've got some interesting commenters. That's a part that I don't usually hype up and sell, but the current community that we have on Patreon has some really interesting rap takes, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm much more comfortable in that space than I am on Twitter. I did it again today, where I'm like, you know what, I could post this to Twitter, but I'd rather want to hear what the fans.
You want to have a little bit of a curated audience with some of these more hot takey kind of things, right?
Absolutely, and at some point we'll be ready.
Like, you start from a place of mutual respect. Like not like on Twitter where anyone could just jump in and just be like, out of pocket, you know what I mean?
And as much as I want to be like, I don't give a shit about you, dude from Cincinnati, the shit kind of circles in my brain in a way I don't like. So we'll see how long Twitter lasts. It looks like Elon's may not buy it, but so yeah, you should hit up our Patreon, patreon.com/DadBodRapPod. $5 a month gets you all the flyness. Get in on it now. Do fly sporadic. Coming up, fly sporadic. There is no as I've been informed. A new playlist, my weekly-ish playlist series, Dims Gems, churns on. So I just posted a new playlist last night.
Dave and I listened to one of your playlists. I think the one before this on the way rolling through. What did you call it? An agricultural wasteland?
Yes. And then you get
said, my friend.
Yeah. Then you get kind of my little. I do a little Kurt Vonnegut style quips attached to my playlists. So yeah, it's been a fun space. It's something that we definitely want to get more people involved with. So check us out there. But of course, we drop episodes every Thursday. It's part of the Stony Island network of podcasts. We are the Bod Rap Pod.
Thanks for watching that, and if you dug that, leave a thumbs up and say what up in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to Stony Island Audio for more.